Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. This is Elyse Andrews, host of the Elyse Draws podcast. I hope you're having a great day when you're listening to this. And this episode of the Elyse Draws podcast is a plan cast, which is basically, if you're watching on my YouTube channel, a video of me planning my week ahead in my bullet journal while just chatting about a bunch of things. If you prefer to see a visual podcast like that, that's on my channel, Elyse Andrews. But if you prefer to just listen on really any platform, then you're in the right place. I hope you enjoy. So, yeah, it's a plan cast. How exciting. So, this week I actually did something crazy and I prepared. Usually, whenever I'm doing my bullet journal spreads, I don't really plan it out very much, but I had a lot of time and I kind of had an idea that I wanted to go with. So, I'm doing a Monstera themed week and I already sketched in or just kind of penciled in all of the stuff that I need to lay out. So I'm just going to be going over with ink and markers and kind of just spiffing it up a little bit. So that's for those who are watching, or if you just want to imagine it in your head, if you're just listening. So, okay, something new I learned this past week. I'm just going to jump right into that. And that is how incredibly kind professionals can be, which I know, just listen, okay? Last Saturday, I went to the AIGA Portfolio Rodeo from the San Antonio chapter of AIGA, and I just got such a tremendous amount of support from several graphic design professionals in the San Antonio and Austin area, and they were so nice and very what's the word? They really roasted my portfolio a lot, but I just had like three different design professionals looking at my portfolio, and it's some of the best feedback I've had on my design in the past, like since I've wanted to become a graphic designer in the first place. So I really appreciated that. And kind of what I took from it too is, just continue to not really be afraid to ask for help on things. Reach out to professionals, maybe beyond just like alumni of your school or your sorority, kind of what I've already been doing. But yeah, there was this one really nice guy who, without me asking, he just sent me some really great UX resources to look into, and he took screenshots of my portfolio and made further edits than what our time allowed. So that was something that meant a lot to me this week. It's something I learned. So I hope to also be someday a really good resource for kids or young graphic designers to look to ask for help on things. So that was what I learned this past week. But also in this past week, I've in general been having a really productive past few weeks. I finally made my robot resume and it looks fabulous. It's kind of crazy. It's like 3 pages long and it has everything I've ever done, including my little podcast that I have and Elyse Andrews, digital content creator. You got to get those keywords in. And this is kind of like my full time job right now until I can, actually get a full time job. I'm definitely planning on keeping this up once I do get employed, but, this is what I'm doing. So, other stuff I've been working on. I also did the little cover letter workshop I planned to do, and that was really helpful. And I would totally recommend all of you doing to do that if you're looking for jobs, looking for internships, which it's a crummy situation right now to try and find that. But just I think for anyone, I think it's a good idea so you can have this written down. But basically, what I did, I don't know if I mentioned it in my last episode, but I actually went through and wrote down all of my experiences and I kind of thought about what lessons I learned from it. And I have a very long list of things and a long list of ideas. How, like, maybe being the secretary of my sorority taught me a lot about email communication and how I can connect that with the email copywriting I did in a class. So I was really happy I did that. I also uploaded some stickers to Redbubble that I designed. There was like a weird pigeon I designed, and I changed up some of my older ones that were like the big girl artist, and I made a big kid artist one. So I did that. I reached out to more alumni, and I actually have a conversation. I'm filming this ahead of time, obviously. But tonight, when I'm recording this, I have a call with one who I'm really excited to talk to because she does sort of along the lines of art directing, creative directing, and that's somewhere I would like to end up being. I also finished 2 books, and they were Talking with Strangers and How to Think Like a Graphic Designer. And those were 2 really great books, 2 very different books. Talking with Strangers is by Malcolm Gladwell, who is a great author, and it makes me want to read more kind of nonfiction books that are not really about history. That's kind of what you associate with nonfiction is like kind of telling a story and just about the past, and that's the narrative. But I like this type of book. I don't know if there's like a specific genre for it, but it's kind of just pulling together different experiences, different events, and writing really interesting insights about those events and things and connecting them to a greater kind of narrative and idea. So, like, definitely they are talking about history, but I think you know what I mean. So I really enjoyed that book a lot. It was very relevant. It ended up being very relevant by the end of it. So that was really great. And then How to Think Like a Great Graphic Designer. I've been working on this for a few weeks/months, but I finally finished it. Kind of marathon my way through. Usually when I'm in like the area of the last 100 pages, I can just sit down and read all of them in one sitting. So I have been really enjoying just reading in general. But anyway, How to Think Like a Great Graphic Designer. Great book. Debbie Millman, my Lord and Savior. She interviewed a lot of different graphic designers. I think this came out in 2013, so it is older, and there were some parts that were a little dated, but I thought the advice still rang true. So right now I'm finishing up another book by Debbie Millman, which is Brand Thinking and Other Noble Pursuits. And I'm also working on the book. It's by the author Don Norman, who wrote The Design of Everyday Things. And I think this next book that I'm reading right now is called Emotional Design. So, it's just kind of a general book about UX design, or he writes about UX design and product design and things like that, user experience. But so I'm really enjoying reading that and how, you learn about how doors work and stuff, but and why they're designed with handles or with knobs and things like that. So that's a great read. But that's The Design of Everyday Things. This one is about why we have like an emotional connection, why we love or hate the things that we use every day. So, really excited to get through that. It's been interesting so far. So, I'm doing that. And then I also purchased 2 new books the other day that are about nature. I don't have the names off the top of my head right now. I do know one is by Rebecca Solnit, who has published books with TU Press, who I interned for. So, I'm really excited to finally check her out because I haven't read any of her books. But I'm kind of trying to go along the lines of like nature, kind of that kind of nonfiction, or I guess some of it's I don't really know how you would categorize it. Anyway, I'm interested in reading stuff that's not really quite a story, like a novel. So that'll be great. And what else have I been doing this week? Oh, I've also been trying to pre-record a lot of content for my channel because I will be out of town this week, and that is what I am planning in this video. So I am really excited to be going up to Dallas soon to visit my boyfriend, and that's where I will be for the next week or so. So I'm really excited to be there with him and his family and just kind of spend some time kind of refreshing myself and kind of switching up my routine. I really, I don't know if I've mentioned this earlier, but I get really anxious sometimes about breaking from my normal because I like my normal. But it's really like if there is no break from the normal, then the normal kind of loses its specialness, I guess. Like, I really like my everyday routine, waking up early, walking the dogs, getting work done just in my room for, like, 20 hours a day, which, for others, maybe that's not as fun, but I've really been enjoying this time to myself. So, but I also really thrive whenever I get the chance to do something different briefly, like see a friend or, go run some errands with my mom. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm reading off of a sheet, just kind of some notes I had about this podcast, but I wrote that I feel like lately I've been trying to rush the summer away, and I need to really realize that there is not a semester of classes coming up. I feel like that is going to be a big shock to me in the fall. But this is just my life now. What I'm doing right now is just my life now. Hopefully, I will get a job closer to the fall, but I might not. I don't really know what's going to happen. None of us do. But my point still stands. Even if I get a job, I need to not really rush my time away this summer. I just have been feeling like, that's how a lot of my summers go, is that I'm always just looking forward to the fall when I can go see my friends again and have all of that structured goodness of being at school, and I won't have that anymore. But it is also kind of freeing to not have anything to do, and I've talked about this with my boyfriend some, but, like, not really having any obligations to an institution for the first time ever. Cutting in again, I lost my train of thought because I heard a sound and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to stop recording." Anyway, so yeah, I don't wanna rush the summer away like I've done in the past. This is just my life. Can't rush my life. It's like, what am I working towards, I have plans, I have things I wanna do, but it's not like it's like a concrete thing, like, it's not like, senior year is here and I can take on this task and challenge. Finally, I've been waiting for months to do it. Anyway, that's enough rambling on about that, but it's something I've been thinking about, and, experiences that I have, with other people or traveling or changing up my routine, they freshen my perspective a lot, and I need to remember that every time that I, you know, feel a little anxious about going somewhere because it's just different. So, there's that. Yeah, so as you've been seeing me draw or just listening to me talk, I guess, I'm planning the week ahead for when I'm in Dallas, and that'll be really interesting to see how my routine works there because, you know, I'm not at my home, I don't have my dogs to take for a walk, I am replacing my 2 dogs with 3 very cute dogs. Um, so I think I'll still be doing a lot of walking and, um, my boyfriend and I have kinda different sleep schedules and stuff, so I have a good feeling that, maybe in the mornings I can get some work done and then spend the rest of the day with him. So, yeah, it's been crazy. It's been, pretty much exactly 3 months since I have seen my boyfriend, even though we're not too far away from each other in terms of, like, looking at the United States as a whole. I'm sure there are a lot of couples right now who are in different states from each other and more than just, like, 4 or 5 hours away from each other, so that definitely sucks, but, it's just kind of 4 hours is kind of a long drive to do frequently, and then you kinda wanna stay for a while, so anyway, this is my big trip. I'm very excited, um, and yeah, I'll just be doing the same kinda thing I'm normally up to, looking for jobs, working on a freelance project, which is really cool. Don't think I can talk about it, but maybe I will later, but, I'm really trying to take on more freelance opportunities because it seems like that's gonna have to be, like, how I deal with employment for the next few months. So, yeah, I'm just trying to learn a lot. That's another kinda goal for next week is to, get all of this stuff done and just continue to learn and watch videos and read and, take advantage of these resources people have been giving me very kindly. So, I feel like this is a very rambly podcast. I apologize if you're a little lost, but, that's just how my brain is working right now. Let's see. Another exciting piece of news is that I finished an entire journal, a whole journal. Okay, this is big news because I don't think I've ever done that before. filled up, like, every single page. I think I've only done that a few times with sketchbooks even. So, I had this journal that I started taking, I think, around November 27th of 2019, and I just wrapped it up on, I believe it's June 6th, 2020. So, it spanned over several months, and I went from really writing kind of infrequently and just kinda keeping it in my backpack to over the last few weeks writing in it every single day because I don't know, I feel like I've found that in the mornings it's really nice for me to kind of get some of the clutter out of my head and kind of organize my thoughts, and if there's something I've been worrying about, I can just kind of analyze it when it's in front of me. So, it has been one of the most important, kind of tools for maintaining my mental health over the past few weeks. So, I'm gonna probably make a video about it because I am very passionate about journaling. I think it's really important. I had a video on my channel forever ago of me journaling, and it got, like, a few thousand views, which was pretty crazy at the time, and it makes me cringe now. It's like, "Top tips for starting a journal in 2016." Ooh, like I was some sort of expert, but I did keep some journals in high school, but unfortunately, looking back through them now, it seems as though my main priority was boys and writing about, my crushes and things that made me sad that day or things that stressed me out. I don't know, like, they're kinda cringy to read. I wish that I had done a better job kinda documenting more of what my life was like at the time, experiences with friends, and I think I even acknowledge it in the journal, but that was just so much at, like, the front of my mind then, so but yeah, I've also been reading I'm just giving away all this content that I was gonna use in a YouTube video, but I'll probably still make it. But anyway, I've been reading, my journal from last year whenever I was in Madrid, which I feel like I will never shut up about, studying abroad in Madrid. That's just my new personality trait, but I loved it so much. Anyway, I kept a pretty decent journal whenever I was there, and that was it's just been so nice to look back on, and I'm trying to read it day by day, like, from exactly a year ago. So right now I'm on a little break because I didn't journal for, like, 4 or 5 days, so I'm eagerly anticipating the next journal entry I have. And it's just yeah, it's been a really great way to start my day and kind of relive some of my memories from then, so I'm kind of excited to you know, look back at my journal from November 2019 to June 2020, um, kind of around that frame a year from now or whatever in this November of 2020, and just, relive this crazy roller coaster ride that was very unexpected, of the past few months. I've already peeked back at a few pages, and it's just crazy how much the world has changed in such a short period of time. So, yeah, that's something that you should just get started with if you're not. Journaling is so wonderful. And I'm really thankful that not only do I have these memories to look back on, to reflect on, I also have um, just this really great outlet for me to journal about kind of what's going on in my brain every morning. So that's been really wonderful. So I think this might be where I wrap the podcast up. I'm still trying to figure out what's a good length for me. I guess, I'll just keep it under 20 minutes ish until I run out of things to talk about. But anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day and make sure to, I guess, rate this podcast if you're listening to it on iTunes, like it on YouTube, leave a comment if you have something you want to say, all of that jazz. I really appreciate it and appreciate any support that you would like to give me. So, yeah. Make sure to check out the links in the description of or the whatever of this video where I have the information. It just shows you, it gives you a link to this video on YouTube if you're listening to it as a podcast, and some other resources to support the Black Lives Matter movement. I will continue to keep these in the descriptions of my podcast as far into the future as I know. So, yeah, Have a great day. Thanks for listening, and bye.